in a lot of cases, what people fail to understand is that they simply have too much process in what they're trying to do. Now, whether that's trying to get in better physical shape, losing a couple pounds or gaining a few pounds of muscle, or preparing for a race or an event or some kind of challenge, or whether that's on the nutritional side, again, just trying to lose weight or trying to get a tighter belly or trying to, get more energy or better sleep or lower your blood pressure, whatever the case is. If you're trying to use fitness and nutrition to accomplish that, you're going to have to get away from process. And I say that because, simply put, having too much process in your routine is not sustainable. And I always talk about things, I always preach about things from a being able to maintain your sustainability, standpoint. And so if people are doing things that they're not going to be able to maintain or they're not going to be able to keep up, not saying it's pointless, but it's almost a ticking time bomb sort of effect, right? And so the thing that I like to impress upon people is that when you first get started with something, whether that's you're trying a new workout style or you're trying a new diet plan or you're trying to follow a new eating window, if you're doing intermittent fasting, or maybe you're taking on fasting for the first time ever, maybe you're trying new supplements, whatever the case is, you're trying something different. And I always tell people to give it some time to work. You don't try to switch too many things too soon, because then that's asking for trouble in and of itself. But at the same time, you want to make gradual positive changes, sustainable changes. Again, I harp on that sustainability because it's key. And when people get bogged down in too much process, maybe they get great at checking their food, being cognizant of what they're eating. But in order to do that, they have to count all their calories, they have to do the calculations, they have to maybe use a food tracking app like MyFitnessPal or something like that. And that's great. It's really good to see on paper or on an app exactly where you can improve and kind of how you're living your day-to-day life. But at the end of the day, that is an extra step or extra steps that you need to take in order to maintain your peak fitness. And over time, for most people, that's just not sustainable. Same thing with people who I see a lot of people in the gym writing down their workouts, every set and every rep that they do. And some people like to keep a journal, and that's great. Maybe it helps keep them, accountable to themselves. Maybe it helps them track, their progress, whatever the case is. Then again, it's an extra step. It's something extra you have to carry around. It's something extra you have to stop and do. It's a process. It's adding to your process. So I'm not knocking on anybody that does either one of those, but I just ask that each person out there considers, what is sustainable for me? What comes natural to me? What takes more willpower to accomplish? Because that's the thing. A lot of times, we could trick ourselves into thinking, oh, well, I know it's good for me, so I'll just do it. And that's great. But that drains a lot of your willpower. And that's a finite resource. It's not something that is infinite, as far as our willpower and our mental capacity to deal with things that we consider inconvenient or that we don't want to do. That takes willpower. And so if you're always if your routine causes you to always have to tap into that willpower and use it, it's always going to be on the lower end of being filled, and it's never really going to be that you're super motivated or super determined to do something likely. So the other thing that I want people to look at is with your routine, once you get it down and once you figure out your processes and you use your processes to instill some good habits and some good discipline, that's the point where you want to start removing processes if at all possible. So if you're somebody that had been tracking your calories repeatedly and more or less now what 1,500 or what 2,000 calories feels like in your system, or what it feels like in your energy levels, or at least what it feels like when you do not get that, then you're going to be able to engage in what I call intuitive strategizing when it comes to your health and fitness, where you're going to kind of know, okay, well, I feel like I underate, so I very likely underate. I feel like I overate, so I very likely overate. Or I feel great, probably broke even, calories in versus calories out. And the same thing with your exercise. It's great to have those high intensity exercises every now and then, but if that's the bulk of your training, then they're done that. It's going to catch up with you. If with nothing else, willpower and inflammation alone, if not dehydration and cramps and all that other stuff that comes with overtraining. And on the flip side, if your training is always on the lower intensity side, that has its benefits as well, but you're going to cease to reap the benefits that you would gather if you were operating on that higher intensity end of the spectrum as well from time to time. So mixing it up is what's key. Sustainability is what's key, and I tell people often, if you have fun with it, keep your body guessing. That in and of itself is going to help you maintain a better routine. So hopefully that clicked with somebody. Like I say, quite often it's not, that we have to be constantly trying to be the best that we've ever been. It's just that we have to, on each particular day, be the best that we could be on that day. And then if you string a bunch of those days together, you're probably working with one of the best, if not the best versions of yourself that you've ever known. And so again, hopefully somebody got something out of that. But that's how my consultations are different. I really just get in there and dive into things as deep as I need to with people, and get them to understand that once they put processes in place, they understand the processes are working, then it's time to start simplifying things, because as I always point out, there's a much greater opportunity for consistency through simplicity. So find a way to make it simple, find someone that can make it simple for you, and you'll be much more likely to be successful.